Okay, thank you, Hugo. We had an insight there into a major production center, which works locally, nationally, and internationally on several fronts and has an array of facilities. It would just about fill the whole of this area, I think. So maybe there's a takeover bid on the way with all the money floating around in Belgium. But it actually gave us an idea of how such centres might look, but it also can be done in other ways, of course, on a much lower level. Now the final podium discussion. If we've got any energy left, and let's try and not go over what's been said, but maybe take account of what's been said. So we either sum up or we go new ways, but don't just say the same things. There's been quite a bit of repetition, which shows that there are some questions hanging deeply and still unanswered after many years. And there are some relationships which don't seem to be quite functioning fully. But let's have the panel members here. I think we don't have any names, but we don't need them. We have Wolfgang Rock and Stefan Leutel from the architecture company. If they don't come, you can come instead, eh? Okay. Who were here yesterday actually and gave a presentation, so thank you for coming back. Rainer Rosecker, sociologist, should also be here, yes. And then we have Astrid Kuri, Academia Graz, who is still here, yes. Ludovic Nobelu, artist, Company X. Sorry, Ludovic. Good. And then we have Cohen de Preter, choreographer and performer. Yeah. And Werner, you are allowed to come on the podium at the last as the last speaker and tell us what we forgot to say. Okay. Well, it has quite a complicated introduction here, and I don't really know if we really want to go so much into that. How can creative processes be designed to offer artists the best possible conditions for realizing new projects, while simultaneously encouraging the exchange of ideas in a supernatural context? Wow. No, I don't think so, because I don't think we want to go that way. I think we'll just say, given that we're talking so far about production centers which are of a new caliber, new character, given that we're aware there are strong social political forces to open such a center up, given that there are already places and structures in Graz which are producing some things, this is perhaps another kind of format we're looking at, a hybrid format or a crossover format. But I'd rather you talk more loosely about how you see such a structure. What do you think such a structure, such a format, the impact might have in the city or something like that? I don't think we really want to go into detailed processes and describe how the inner workings might be. I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, really. So I think you can take this how you want to go, and particularly as we've got also architects on board. I don't think we're looking at something necessarily which has a performative context. I mean, we're talking about arts, design, architecture, you might say the creative sector, very generally. Do you see the need and how much such a center, a kind of a new Bauhaus thing, I've got just all of a sudden sort of flashed up. How do you see such a center and what are the needs and potential in Graz? Where is the creative potential? What are the needs? Who might benefit from it? And how it might fit into the you might say to the city as you know it. Is that a bit broader and a bit okay? No. Ludovic is playing up, I think. Yeah.
Something I want to say,
yes.
Because I work within these networks, and I think it's a special situation in Graz and in Styria. We have a very good communication basis between all people working in the art field. This is artists themselves, as well as cultural institutions, and also a little bit, but not at all, also in the political field and in the public. So we have a special situation where people are connected, have a good communication basis. And people are already working in those fields of looking for new audiences, looking for new formats, working with neighborhoods. They all did it not on a political purpose or not on a question of from an official side. They did it because they just live within these neighborhoods and they just did some work, like Baudo was working in the 80-20, this is the other side of Graz, where everything which is dirty and it's not so representable happens, not so anymore, but has been. And also Rota worked in the neighborhood Annenviertel, so they really created a specific form of communication between audience and cultural institutions and art. Also Forum Stadtpark, I just mentioned now institutions that are working in this area. This is La Strada, definitely. It is Landwirbel next to me. Rainer Rossacker is not anymore in this context, but it's always a kind of a connection, neighborhood working, focusing on social questions. And yeah, we can, I was really a little bit depressed from the process of the discussion today. We started quite optimistic in the morning, I thought so, and we ended a little bit not so optimistic or more depressed in the end now, concerning the possibility or how strong is the art field in Graz or in general. And I think because of this communicative structure we have here, it has a high potential. It has it's really a huge critical mass. Architektursommer sits here at Markus Bogensberger. There's a lot of networks here, and we can put all this energy together and you make a lot of pressure. This is possible. And concerning a production center, I was thinking about this really complicated question here, and to me, art is more like a basic research. So it's difficult when it comes to forms of instrumentation or an accessoire, as you told us before, Heidrun, because I think there should always be freedom. There's enough restrictions already, and this is the financial framework is getting tighter and tighter, and you always was so good to hear about. You said it about keep on dreaming and visioning, because you lose that in this kind of situation we are getting. It's narrowing from year to year, and keep up this freedom and this freedom to vision and to dream. This is the most important thing. And whether you do it in a building or you support just the networks and let them exist further from a political point of view, I think it does not matter that much, but they need the support and they need to be appreciated that they are here, and they create a mindset of openness that contributes to the city.
Okay, right, that's a good start. Positive start, energetic. Okay, who wants to take on from there? Werner? Yeah.
Yes, I think these questions we write down here, for me it always was very, I wanted to be also provocative to the city and also to the situation here, because we heard there is a big lack of information. People are not very happy with the information they get from here, from the development process. And so as we were working here since 2006 with different projects, the first we did was with Komplexkammer, and they deal with the history of the place already in 2006. And so we were always thinking we should engage ourselves and the festival also on this place. But our creation center, the idea of our creation center is the whole city, and it ever was. But this question of, is it interesting to put a creation center inside of this new part of the city, is a provocation, because we want to provoke that it's thought about that. And what we want to provoke is, we want to provocate artists and also the city and architects and everyone to work here together and to think about the new city. And this is what we wanted to do, and what it should be, what it could be for me in the future, is a place where we could invest our energy to, as a festival. We are a festival, 9 days. We work here 9 days. We invite a lot of audience. They come here when we ask them to come. But we also think it's a good idea to work the whole year. There is our storage over there. And all what we have, it's not a lot, but it's stored. And what we could do in a bigger space, we could put it like this, and we could offer it already to artists. And we just take the same amount of energy, also of budget, and we put it to a room. And if we get the owners, the investors, the city, and very important, other institutions, of cultural institutions, to work with us together, I think we could create something here, which is for the process of 12 years or 15 to create and to parallel to work here, to develop this place, and maybe then it could be changed or turned into a cultural center or whatever. And this is my vision of what it could be.
Fine. Anyone wants to? Yeah.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. And so there are a lot of things said, so it's not easy to add on, but maybe just to underline different aspects. So about the design processes, my experiences are out of a network being active here in Graz, in a district. So we had been people in the year 2007, neighbors that wanted to establish a neighborhood party or a block party. So we started with 80 people putting the sofas on the street and listening music and having beer. Meanwhile, so in good years, there are 30,000 people joining this neighborhood party. So it growed really. So I think it shows that people in our city really want to get active. So they want to have the places where they can bring themselves in, even if they are artists, even if they are not artists. So they wanted to do some creation processes. And as you mentioned also before, public space in our city is very regulated. So it's not easy to bring this in. This was also the reason why we formulated a manifest in the year 2011. It's similar to this discussion we have here. So we said we want open spaces, we want open exchange and sharing of resources, we want open decision-making processes. So it should be clear and evident that we want to have this, but the response from the decision makers hadn't been that great, okay. As we know. So we also tended to do hacking strategies. So we recognize, don't ask too much, just do it, but do it responsibly. And so for me, these are interesting strategies, how on a friendly way, somehow also can hack systems. And for me, it's a question also, could this be a strategy here in a friendly manner? But also the question for the development of the area, could this be a such called Sonderentwicklungszone, special development zone, thank you very much, where these regulations are not that strict that we have in public rooms. So maybe this private room could also be a chance in this direction.
Good. Yeah, fine. Other comments? Public space?
No, I'll respond later on, maybe by
okay.
A little bit,
okay. Yeah.
To show how by subversion we can get
yeah.
positive.
Yeah. Good. Good. Okay.
We can. Is Wolfgang Kirk is an architect?
Yeah. Would you like to say so, Wolfgang? Yeah.
Because he's also maybe involved in the other part of the city, where he built different buildings where
Genau, yes, we are from the same part of Graz, where Landwirbel is, and we have our office there. And we win this competition. But I think what is the job of an architect? An architect should make rooms you should make good public spaces, but we cannot make the action. We build buildings, we build the rooms so good as well as we can, and also we build a public space as well as we can, but we cannot make the action. The action is the life, and we can make it so good as we can, but not more.
But
the artists and the people must make the action, I think.
Yeah, but when you're doing public space, I mean, it's hard to make public space within a very regulated system, and if perhaps the users are not that able or willing to get involved to actually help, you might say that, because perhaps the potential of the public space are things which are not wanted or are regulated or whatever, so you have a design brief which is already very limited and strict. So how do you get around that when you're saying good public space if you can't actually design optimal and free?
Ich denke, öffentlicher Raum soll ein Möglichkeitsraum sein.
So I believe public space should be an area where you have possibilities.
Und ich glaube auch, dass der öffentliche Raum nicht zu groß sein darf. Man muss ihn bündeln.
I believe that it should not be too big. You have to bundle it.
Weil wenn er zu groß ist, dann verlieren sich die Menschen darin.
If it's too big, people get lost in this space.
Und ich glaube, dass der öffentliche Raum so sein muss, dass sich die Menschen begegnen müssen.
And it has to be designed in a manner that people must meet each other.
Es müssen Bewegungen über ihn stattfinden, sonst wird er nicht funktionieren.
Movements have to take place across this public space. Otherwise, it's not going to be a public space.
Und er muss das Wohnzimmer für alle sein,
It has to be the living room for everybody,
wo wir unsere Eitelkeiten austauschen können, wo wir uns begegnen,
where we show our vanity, where we meet, where we encounter,
wo wir miteinander streiten,
where we fight with each other.
kurz wo das Leben stattfindet
Shortly, where life takes place.
und wo auch Kunst stattfinden soll und kann. Wo auch Kunst stattfinden
where art
soll
should
und
also be
kann.
able to take place.
Einige von uns sind Akteure
Some of us are actors,
und andere sind nur Zuschauer.
others are spectators only.
Und das alles soll eben dort passieren.
And all this should happen in this public space.
Well, given that, do you think the city has the public space it deserves? And do you think the artists and the public have the public space they deserve?
Die Stadt, die Gesellschaft hat den Raum, den sie verdient, das glaube ich schon.
The society has got the space that it deserves. I believe that.
Aber unsere Gesellschaft besteht halt immer mehr aus Egoisten und sozusagen, ja, aus
But however, our society seems to consist more and more of egotists.
und wir sind eben nicht mehr bereit, miteinander zu interagieren.
And we're not prepared anymore to interact with each other.
Und wir weichen in vielen Streitereien aus,
We avoid fights.
indem wir uns ja, und weichen überhaupt einander aus.
And we avoid each other.
Okay, all right, thank you. A very diplomatic answer. Yes. Okay. All right. So we'll move quietly on. Yeah. When you're doing these street parties, what is the reaction from the neighborhoods, the people, the media, and the police, the fire people, the statutory? I mean, are they positive? Do they want to extend the use, or they are terrorized by it? Or how is the sort of, you might say, because this is going on all over Europe, that people are actually just taking to the streets and doing things because it's too complicated to apply and so on. Sometimes it costs money, and you don't clean up after yourselves, do you, I suppose? Oh, all right. Okay, but so how do you feel? Do you feel there are restrictions and things, or they're passive, they're not enforced because there are greater possibilities and they ought to be used more? Or do you feel there are problems with regarding to regulations and control and whatever?
Okay, many questions. I try to focus on it. In general, we learned that it's very necessary and important to develop a format where different people from cultural contexts, social contexts can join. So beginning from a just normal breakfast in public room, sitting together and having a breakfast, or via different genres of music and arts, also folklore music maybe. It's quite interesting to bring in. So this is a real picture on the diversity this neighborhood has, and so this is why many people really join. Different people really like it and find their own somehow niche, or not niche, or shared room also they can get in. So this we learned during the years. On the other hand side, you asked about officials, how they are reacting differently, I would say. So, for instance, we had one project where street artists made a big painting and they had a crane somehow got up there, and suddenly the crane was getting troubles and it was not possible anymore to bring them out of the mud. So we had to call the fireman. Can you help us, please? So we have a big problem here. So they came and told us, yeah, this is neighborhood help. So it's okay, yeah? Because they are also in this district, so very nice. Yeah, they are neighborhood. So it is. On the other hand side, we had very interesting conversation with police, for instance, also, because they are not that chilled when 30,000 people are during the night making a party, especially on the street, maybe having the bottles, so it's dangerous. And we talked to them and they told us, yeah, they recognize and they know when they now go in there with a mood of, we are being present, then they react some actions that are not that good maybe. So this is also quite good functioning. Of course, we have some negative feedbacks when the waste is not away in the morning. So, but this is all a learning process for different sides.
I mean, you were saying before about that there's enough social space in the city, but people want to have their own space. They won't have. So, do you mean that Graz is becoming less tolerant? That there is, that there are, you might say, ghettos, is more ghettoized, is being more segregated, or what did you mean by that comment that they people want their own space? Because sharing space is a sign of tolerance in a city, and public space is a test of tolerance, you might say. So where on an index of 1 to 10 is Graz on that tolerance scale?
Ich glaube, dass das Gemeinsame im Raum irgendwann aufgehört, also irgendwann schlechter geworden ist. Wann ist das passiert, ist die Frage.
I believe that the togetherness in public space sometimes got worse. When it happened, that's the question.
Ich denke, es hängt schon damit im Zusammenhang, wie wir uns halt individuell motorisiert haben.
I think it has to do with the degree that we as individuals motorized ourselves.
Weil eine vierspurige Straße, auf der kann man einfach nicht kommunizieren.
Because on a 4-lane road, you just can't communicate.
Aber wir lieben ja alle unsere Autos.
But we all love our cars.
Und fahren damit.
And drive with our cars.
Also haben wir auch die Nachteile davon.
So we also have to take up with the disadvantages.
Und ich glaube, das Bewusstsein, dass das nicht nur gute Seiten hat, ist in letzter Zeit eher gewachsen.
And the awareness that this does not only have its good sides has grown in the past.
Und ich glaube schon, dass es auch in Graz ein Umdenken gibt, dass man eben den öffentlichen Raum, dass der eigentlich für die Menschen gemacht ist, die sich zu Fuß in dem Raum bewegen und nicht hauptsächlich für die Autos.
And I believe that a rethinking process will take place, that this public space is not only for people who move around in cars, but also for people who walk or, go by bikes.
Thank you. In Edinburgh, they have appointed a design director for the city who looks at quality of the public space. He has control over quality in the way that there have to be standards of, and you might way he's curating the public space, because now more and more is happening in the public space, but there's often less and less quality. It's just party, 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 whatever. Van, you've been doing festivals for the last many years. How do you see what's happening in the public space and the art or the performance or the installations or the lighting or whatever? Do you think there's enough sense of actually ensuring quality of activity in the public space, whether it's from design to performance to events, whatever, to tents, to structures, to sound, to whatever? Or is the public space being more polluted? Polluted in the sense that it's just anything, anywhere, anyhow, it's just life and it will create a buzz. But do you think we need to be more aware of the quality of culture in the public space? Because it just being free and accessible is maybe not enough. And how do you then manage doing a festival? And is that one of the reasons you're very keen on this center to increase quality?
Yes, but I mean, La Strada is already 17 now, and we did a lot of different things in these years. In the beginning, we more focused on using the city as it is, and focused the focus of the people to their own city to use it again in the summertime, and this is our time when we work. And then it was really nice to see that they appreciated that, and that in the beginning we had discussions about parking spaces with the authorities, and they said, "Oh no, you cannot put the cars away on Freiheitsplatz, because the people are coming to buy in the shops, and so what do we do?" And then I asked them, yes, what do you want, 50 cars or 5,000 people? In the beginning, it was like that. And so, and then they slightly changed their mind, and step by step we opened this. And now it's totally different than in the beginning. In the beginning, there were a lot of big events we did. A lot of people came, visual things. Then Pierre Sauvageau, who used the city as an opera house, and things like that. And now it's more and more interested. We never were interested to put big stages anywhere. We wanted to have the stage on the floor and have a direct contact between artists, to use mobile the city. And now we are changing again. We go outside of the center, the city. We go to the neighborhoods. We work with the stories of the people. And I would like to pass the microphone over to Koen, because what we want to do in the future is what he is doing.
What's that?
Hi. So actually, I'm not doing yet. I'm preparing a project. I'm a choreographer. I mostly make stage productions, but I want to go on the street. I want to go to the park, actually. I got really much inspired on a trip to Japan, where I saw people in the park doing the most crazy things. Games, dancing, rehearsing, playing music, performing, but also most of the time just leisure time. And I was wondering, like, what if the park, like I come from the city of Antwerp, which is quite multicultural, but at the same time, it's quite provincial in the park. Like, people just walk their dog, jog, and maybe have a picnic. But I would really like to open up the space to give a park outside of the center for people to come, to do their hobby, to come and dance, to bring their instruments, to bring food, to gather as much as creative energy in that space. But not only it's an open call, but as well I'm going to curate. I'm going to work with the local music scene, invite bands to come and play. It's not about like a big festival. It's like acoustic little interventions. Professional choreographers will work with amateur dancers. We'll make pop-up choreographies. I will give workshops to the audience so they can join while they pass by, and so on. We have a choir, which is already happening, but I invite them to join and to come to the park, who have 100 to 300 members, and you can join and sing 5 songs in 2 hours together. And So I want to bring this to give this to the city and to bring this quirkiness that the thing in Japan inspired me to bring it to kind of a European context. And I'm going to try it for the first time in my own city. And yeah, I would love to try it in different cities in the future. Yeah.
I think we'll see how it goes first.
Yeah. No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Not good, eh? Not good.